I don't think I was prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was
Hmm.
there was quite a few of them in. There was two of them in the room, and
Hmm.
I think I was just a little bit overwhelmed. But that was one of the questions that I thought, oh no, that
Yeah.
was a bit strange.
Yeah, it's good. See, I mean, the more interview we go to, right? I mean, we'll get more prepared. That's how I see it. And we learn on the interviews as well, right? What sort of questions they're asking, what are the, yeah, I mean, these kind of things, right? If we say, I mean, we want to code in Kotlin, I mean, optional thing, you should be knowing, and how to do non-handling, and yeah, and Kotlin forces you to work with immutable data, right? So and making something optional is also making the code immutable.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah. They did
yeah.
say what is the difference between
Mm.
what is the major differences I find working with Kotlin.
Yeah,
So I just said the normal it's concise.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's got a number of features,
yes, yeah, correct.
i.e., yeah. So I said the nullable. I didn't really word it properly, so I got to go
Mm-hmm.
through
Yeah,
and have a little read up again
sure. And
of
this,
all of the
yeah,
features.
yeah, 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 yeah. And then I think, I mean, it'll stick in our head forever. I mean, when we use it, I mean, when we use it in a program, and and you see it actually through that. I mean, this is why I've chosen that. So
Yeah,
that's when it really stays in you. So but I mean, to pass the interviews, sometimes you've got to remember the idea as well, at least, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, keep applying, man. That's all I'll say. Keep applying, and
yeah, definitely.
yeah, it'll click. It'll click. Um, yeah, sure. Okay, so did you try that example, the exercise?
Yeah, I did. Well, for me, it was mainly just
Mm.
trying to look through the code.
Yeah,
It was a little bit, oh yeah, that was a little bit above my pay grade. I'm not gonna lie, Theory.
sure.
Yeah,
Ah,
because big decimal, when you had the big decimal in there,
yeah.
um, I tried to add like 20 or whatever, but it only gives you like 10 and 1. I'm not sure. I didn't know how to write other
Ah,
numbers.
yeah. Did you see the solution? This is how I've written it. So yeah. So here, anyway. So every example we do here is just to design a class, right? Because we are learning what are these design patterns to create objects, right? Because that's why they're creational design patterns, right? So every
Mhm.
example is just to see, I mean, how we can design this question which is coming in to create the classes, right?
Yeah.
Nothing else, nothing more than that. So we don't need to worry about, I mean, placing an actual trade or anything like that. Yeah. That's why I said, I mean, just create, create an instance of the class order using a static factory method. So we're just only worrying about, I mean, how would we create a static factory method to create the objects? Yeah. Because this is the exercise, isn't it, for
Hmm. Hmm.
creation of pattern. So yeah, so simply I created a order class which would take buy and sell prices. Yeah. Big decimal is the data type we use for prices. Yeah, because it has good support with decimal places and all that. So it has tons of functions we can use to add two decimals, and divide two decimals with you know uh, without having any additions and all that. So yeah, so we always, when it comes to price, if you ever deal with prices in your program, prices in the sense, I mean, which would have um, you know decimal places, go for big decimal always. Don't mess up with
Can
long.
you, sorry, Farouk. Can you
Ah,
just explain that again, please? If
okay. Say that, I mean, you're working for a finance company or something, right? And then there they are dealing with prices. Say, for an example, or even a shopping cart you're building, right? And in the shopping cart you want to add items, right, with prices, right? Bread, milk, and blah blah blah. So when you're adding these items into your shopping cart, you'll be adding the prices of those items as well, isn't it? And at the end, you will have a subtotal, right? So we are dealing with prices here, isn't it? And anytime you design a system or you're coding something which deals with prices, choose the data type, big decimal. So price will have a number and a decimal, right? So milk in this case, the price could be £3 29 pence, or £1.50. Yeah, medium milk, £1.50 or something. So £1 50 pence. How will you put that in code? It'll be 1.50, right? So we are dealing with decimal places here, isn't it? You with me?
Yep.
Right. So in order to define that, we will have to choose. See, if I need to say milk price here, I will choose big decimal. This is my type, and also it can take a string, £1.50. Yeah, and then say the other one, maybe bread, and then bread. How much is bread? This is £2.50, right? And then if I want to
I
find,
thought it was a primitive.
yes, yeah, it's another class itself, but I mean it wraps the things to be decimals. You can also use something called float or long, but anything to do with prices, it's always better to use a big decimal. I'll show you why. Because see, now if I want to find the total and I want to add these two prices, right? Milk price dot add. See the other one now. Bread price. See, it adds things simply. Otherwise, yeah, and also if this has too many decimals in there, it will handle it. It will handle the precisions and all that, so you can round it. If you want to get up to 2 decimals, you can round this and all that easily, and it has a lot of support, to deal with decimal numbers. That's what I'm saying. So in Kotlin or Java, big decimal is the way to go if you're ever dealing with prices.
Okay.
Yeah. So here it's a buy price, sell price, right? Because if it's an order that we want to create, I mean, why is a buy price and sell price? Do you know the financial markets? Like, I mean, when you create an order in financial market, you buy. Yeah. So when you place a trade, we tell the user what's the buy price and sell price. Yeah. In trading mainly. Yeah. So that's why this order has a buy price, sell price. And that's what's said as well. We want to create the order with buy price, sell price. And now I have okay, so how do I create this order object? We said we don't want people to instantiate this through constructors, so we made this private. So the constructor is private, so no one can instantiate this class other than calling the static factory method, right? So we create the static factory method to create the objects itself here with the prices given. So in order to call that now, we can just call it like this. So I'm just calling the static factory method on the class, because if it's static factory method, it will be class level, right? So I don't need to create an instance of the class, where I can't do in this case because the constructor is closed. So the only way to create this object is saying, okay, by calling the static factory method. Why this is a static factory method? Because of it's inside a companion object. Yeah, we studied this, didn't we? That's what we want to see. I mean, how would we write the class and make it static factory? Yeah. Cool. So just remember those, So I think, I mean, if I'm you, I'll start remembering these, that this is why I want that, because of, I mean, see, as I've been a developer all this time, right? The only thing I have learned so far is knowing the concepts and remembering things, when to use what. The rest of the coding is just anyone can do, because see, if I want to do this, I can copy this and paste it from my repo or anyone's examples, right? But knowing where to use what is the main thing here. And that will come definitely with experience, but at least as we learn this as we go, then we are building up, building things up underneath, we're getting firmer and firmer. That's how I would say. Yeah, that's why I've chosen the design patterns, because of the design patterns will cover most of your 80% problems in your coding, in your life as a developer. So anywhere you go, you will come across. See, when we learn a design pattern, we don't just push to learn just that pattern. We look at the code as well, and we see, uh, why this is, how do you write the companion object, how to make a constructor private, and all that as well, So
Mhm.
so it will cover at least the 80% of what a developer should do. No, if you look at all the design patterns available, because they are the common problems you will come across in your life as a developer. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, just to go back a bit, because I'm gonna remind this again and again, because I know, because I have been through this phase many times before. That's why I know we should repeat this as many times as possible. So
Mhm.
that's how it will stay in us, and it'll one day click. It's like, learning to drive a car. You know,
Mhm.
but think of it as, we are still babies, not even grown-ups, babies,
Mhm.
and we're going to learn how to drive a car. Imagine that. That's the scale we are in. Not just because of, the experiences or anything like that I'm talking. It's for anyone. You pick anyone from any industry, or even a senior dev. If they want to get to this level, it's the metaphor I can say. A baby learning to drive a car, you know,
Mhm.
because you're going to be on the driver's seat all the time. Because people are going to tell you, do this, please. We're not going to pair much, because in the workplaces, right? Even pairing, and just to bounce ideas, but then you go and start writing, then you'll become the driver. Start writing the code means, you're going to become the driver. You're going to be, um, first of all, tackling the problem and put it in code.
Mhm.
That's the life. That's the life of a software developer, right? So in order to in order to be comfortable in that seat, yes, the design patterns would be the best place to start, I would say, to seeing the problems, and how are we handling these scenarios and this and that. See, even today, we said, big decimals, where to use big decimal. Anything you're designing which has prices, choose big decimals. No other question, because this is what I'm saying from my experience. And then if you're in doubt, then we can search for it, and you will come to this answer, because many of us have searched for this many times, and this is the answer you'll get: big decimal, because it has good support. With longs and floats, they can also represent decimals, but not like big decimals. The amount of support you get. So, and think of it in finance. You cannot miss a decimal place, right? Decimal number, right? If
Mhm.
you miss by uh, a decimal, a company will lose a lot of money.
Mhm.
So that's why it's very important. And big decimal is the one which is used in all the finance systems. Yeah. And I've seen that, like, 10 years ago, we had to use floats, and, things were not working well. Big decimal was becoming popular everywhere in the systems, financial systems. People were saying, oh, yeah, look, guys, I'm using decimal. It's easy as, use it. So not many mistakes and things like that. And then now, anywhere you go into a finance company, um, you will not see any other data types if you're defining prices. It'll be always big decimals. Yeah. As I'm also in the finance, I can guarantee that. Okay, so things like that, right? So yeah, so learn as you go, but stick to the design patterns, and the rest of the things we're going to look at, and then we should be fine. But then again, so this also has a limit, right? We're not going to sit and learn this forever. Then when do we finish? So we are going to look at all the design patterns. Then I could say you at least um scratching off the surface now. Yeah, you know the things, at least, the concepts to handle the steering, and then yeah, the rest of it will come in the job. You're confident to go and tackle the problems with the solutions, which are these design patterns. you know yeah, then I would say, you wouldn't be having anyone would be having any problems, including myself.
Mhm.
Yeah, man. Yeah, think of it always. We are learning to drive a car, but we're still babies, very babies. We're just born as
Mhm.
babies, Yeah, not even grown-ups. No, then that's a different story. That's something like a grown-up learning to drive a car is like, learning another language who has been in the industry for a while, and then now, um, you know, looking at another car or vehicle, how to drive it. That's how I put it. But knowing already how to drive the car. that means, knowing all these concepts, Yeah, cool. Right. Okay. So, okay. Any questions?
No, that was really good explanation of the
Cool.
big decimal and
Yeah.
the concepts.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's what I've learned from all this time. If you ask me how to survive in this, that's the only advice I can give. Yeah. Right. So, um, right. So we studied about these patterns, right? So again, just to remind us again. So as I said, I mean, we need to remind this again and again, just to be sure, because otherwise we'll be starting to learn everything, and it'll stay there as you're learning it, but the rest of them will fade away. The singleton. Remember that? Why do we need to use a singleton? What problem to solve? Can we try
When
that?
you want to, yeah. Sorry,
Sure. Go for it. Go for it.
me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
When you want to create a single instance of an object, is that right?
Correct. Brilliant. Yes. So anytime you're designing a system and you want to keep an instance which is going to be the same always throughout your system,
Yeah.
throughout the whole life cycle of the application, then the singleton is the pattern you want to use. Brilliant. Factory method. When would you choose a factory method? What problem to solve?
Yeah.
Factory.
Who
You go for
else is in
factory.
the?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let someone else have a
Mm.
go at that.
I thought it's just you, but Charity is also there.
Oh,
But
is it just me?
no,
Oh,
Charity is also there, but Charity, I think he's traveling at the moment. He's listening.
oh, okay.
Unless
No
Charity wants to
problem.
speak. Charity, can you talk as well?
Uh, yeah, I can talk. It's
Okay.
not disturbing,
No background.
background noise.
No,
Okay.
that's fine. Okay. Well, where do we need a factory method, Charity?
When we want to create similar type of objects.
Correct. Yes. I love that. Similar type of objects. Yeah. So you want to go to a factory, right? And you will create a factory method to create the same type of objects. Brilliant. I like that. Very good answer. Good. And then Jason, maybe you want to try the static factory?
The static factory.
Yeah. It's similar to factory, but
Yeah, similar to
one condition.
factory. Static factory. Sorry, I forgot the definition.
No, it's okay. So it's also like a factory to create objects, but if you want to have a method in the class level, not by creating objects through constructors, that's when you need to have a static factory, isn't it? Like we studied. So here, for example, like we saw the example here. See, because I am forcing to close the constructor, right? So nobody can do this. Yeah, I can't create an order.
What was that wording again? Sorry, it's the more I understand it from the like when
Yeah.
Charid said if the factory method is if you want to create
Yeah.
similar types of objects. Now I understand that. How do
Yeah.
you say it with the static factory?
Okay. Static factory is also to create the similar object. But if you want to call a class level method to create the object, then that's static factory. When we do that, then you're not going to instantiate classes through constructor, because that is what we're doing.
Oh, when you want to call
Because
when you want to call a class at
when you want to
call
call
a
a method class
sorry.
level, yeah,
Okay,
which is going to be the factory method. Yeah. So in this case, this is the factory method, but it's can be only accessed via the class level because of its a companion object, right? It's static. Yeah.
and the reason why you want to
Good
you
question.
want to call it from the
Yeah.
class level is that it does not instantiate
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, because of you then have to close the constructor.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you need to go a bit deeper as well, to know the reasons. Otherwise, you can't sum it up in four words though, because it wouldn't make any sense, right?
Right.
You see what I mean? It could be a good how do you say? definition, but it's not a good explanation, I would say, because in interviews, they will ask you to explain the explanation, not the definition.
Yeah, and
So
I
anyone
noticed
can
you've got
remember
to
the
give the
definition.
reasons.
Yes, correct. Then the definition will come out anyway, so you can put them in any words you like after that, isn't it? Yeah. So try to understand, why. See, okay, so now I can ask, why do you want to ever do this? I mean, why you don't want people to use a factory method? Factory method is, having a class level, not a class level. You can create instances of that class and access the factory method, right? Like this. Yeah, like this here. This is a factory method, but to access this, I can put this into a class and I can create the class objects, many instances of that class I want, and I can call this factory. Yeah. But why do I want to do this? Want to always create an object through a class instance rather than creating many other instances of the class.
Yeah, is it possible to, for me, is it possible to see it being used?
Of course. See, as we spoke about big decimals, right? Big decimal has static factory methods. See here, for an example, let's say some price is equal to big decimal. Not in here, but
Value of.
Yeah, value of is a static factory method. No, maybe choose string here because I don't have the.
Is value of to see if it's of the same class?
Yeah, correct.
Same type.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, only the long, so double or this and that. Yeah, you see this? It's a static, but this is written in Java, right? But this is the purpose. So you're not going to create the instance, but you will just go straight to the class itself and create a value of. Yeah. So the purpose is because it will become more clearer when you're creating a price that what value you're using to create that. So that's why it's just the naming. The name of the method you call. So here the same. When you create an order, you say you're going to create this order to place that order with these prices. So that's why you're creating it. So it's the reasoning of why we are creating that object becomes clearer with the static factory method. That is the only difference. So if you want to make the caller to be more clearer of that, I mean, why they are creating these objects, we can use this static factory method. Because or maybe the word the name will be with price or something. This will be better. Maybe that's not a good name. You can say order with price, this and that. So you can also use the default arguments here. So you can say buy price is equal to that, sell price is equal to that. So see, when I read this, I can see I am creating an order with price, buy price is that, sell price is that. So immediately I know it here. So you don't need to go inside the class and see, why are we creating this object, right? So it's explicitly revealed here. That's the beauty of a static factory method. Yeah. So it's similar to a factory method, but you don't need to create instances of the classes, and you can just access it on the class itself because of its being a static. And also it expresses that, why are we creating that class? Why are we creating that object? Simple as that. Yeah. Yeah. So try to explain it in your words, Jason, if you can. Why the static factory method then? To create the similar type of objects as Charit said, but the advantages.
Yeah, the advantage is it doesn't allow you to instantiate the class and
Yeah.
If you don't need, and you don't need to create instances of the class itself.
Correct. Correct. And also to express why you're creating it, right? Because with the name of the static factory method, because you can read it easily.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's the second reason as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Say that again. Sorry, I didn't quite
That
catch
would be
that.
another reason as well. That could be the second reason. The second reason is you can express with that static factory method that why what is the reason for creating this object. See, because I can read this easily. I'm creating an order, and immediately, if
Yeah.
I want to create the order, I need to call this with price method. Yeah. And I need to provide the prices. So I'm creating,
Okay, right,
creating
right.
this order with these prices. So I can read that like that, right?
Yeah. Did you mean to say you can express what the method is doing?
Yes, correct. Yeah. That's what I meant. What is that exactly doing? Yes. And because of this is to create the objects, we can see it's creating the object with these prices, right? It's creating with
Yeah.
prices. Yeah. Because it's all about creating objects, so we can see what is it creating with. That's the reason we're passing these prices as well. So it expresses more that, what is it doing? And what are the objects? What is the object it's creating with? Yeah. So it expresses the reason we are creating the objects for, and also not to instantiate the classes with instances. You can just call the class level method.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. That's
Yeah.
about it, really.
And you can so that last bit is you can express what the method is doing by passing in the named parameters.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. So it's even making it more readable, right? Because I can use name parameters here. Named arguments. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it name arguments?
Name arguments. Yeah. Named arguments. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Shall we move on then?
Yeah.
Have we move on? Any questions? Yeah. Okay. Let's move on then. Okay. So